call to start the Wednesday, June 26th meeting of the Waldoboro Recreation Committee. And we'll start this meeting by just kind of introducing ourselves. My name's Troy Smith.
Karen Rowan.
Marcus Benner.
I'm Jim Letney.
And that, we'll start the agenda and we'll go in order unless there's any reason to adjust it. Not seeing a reason, we'll go to, was there any citizens' comments that you would like to share?
No.
Anybody else have anything? No? And then we'll jump right quickly into the Recreation Director's report.
All right. So last month, Little League wrapped up with our local league, but now Little League All Stars is kicking off. And usually we don't do a lot for that because there's just a few it goes from a lot of teams playing to just a few. But this year we're hosting the 9-10 District 2 tournament. So we've been doing a lot of work on the fields, trying to get, it's going to be at Sioux Forth Field, trying to get that looking nice for the tournament. That'll be July 6th through the 13th. And for those of you that don't know, District 2 for a Little League runs pretty much from Belfast to, I think, Lincoln Academy, in that range, roughly.
Yep.
So that's coming up, starting the end of next week. The week after that, starting the 15th, I'm going to be working with Public Works, and we're going to actually start tearing up the field. We're going to put some new drainage in. We've had a terrible year with every time it rains, it just floods the whole field. So we got these things called J drains that we're going to put in.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're going to try that, and then once we get the drainage put in and it backfilled over, Sports Fields is going to come in and spray for broadleaf across the whole field. It's gonna kill all the weeds across all the grass. It's gonna make it look pretty bad for a few weeks. But after that, I'll have to aerate and overseed and fertilize, and hopefully by fall it'll bounce back and be looking nice, and we'll actually have grass and not weeds to play on.
Oh, very nice.
So that's a big project coming up. I handed around a little article. Juliana Blake, one of our 7-8 girls pitch hit and run champion. She also won our Waldoboro competition. She moved on to Bangor and won that. And when you win in Bangor, it doesn't directly qualify you for the next round. They compare your scores against the rest of Maine. So she got compared against Northern Maine and then another one in Portland. And she was the top scorer, so she went on to Fenway Park for the regional competition, got to play on the field before a Red Sox game and compete there, where she finished second, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's should be a great memory for her.
Oh my God, yes.
We had a couple other, I think we had 7 kids advance to Bangor from Waldoboro, and I think 6 of them went. And I know Braden McNelly, he won the all-around in Bangor as well. But he wasn't the top scorer in the state, so he didn't get to go to Fenway. And then we had, I think, Owen Simmons. He won an event, but not the overall championship there. And there might have been more, but those are the ones that got reported back to me. So we did pretty well.
That's great. Good shout out to her.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Ah, yes.
I think over the years, there's only been maybe a handful of kids from the Waldoboro pitch hit and run that have made it that far. So. The recreation surveys have come back. We had 387 that were returned, and we'll talk more about that later on, but that's just a quick synopsis. Planning underway for summer rec camp. It's going to run from 5 weeks at Miller School, July 8th through August 9th. My leader from last year is returning for her 2nd year, so I'm excited about that. And then I have a long-term counselor that is coming back for another year.
Yippee.
And then I just filled this last week my 2 other positions, so my staff is full. We start training tomorrow with that. And,
Wonderful.
Yep, so we're getting ready to go for that. Waldoboro Day went well. We had, as far as Waldoboro Rec, we did a home run derby in the afternoon. We had about the same numbers as normal, probably somewhere between 10 and 20 people take part. It was a little bit different crowd than usual. The Little League Championship was at 2 o'clock as well, so a lot of the people that were interested in baseball, home run derby type stuff were down there. But we still had about the same turnout, which was great to see. Then we tried to do a cornhole tournament at 5. There's just not a lot of people hanging around Waldeboro Day at 5. It's kind of a dead zone. So maybe we'll try to revamp that next year at a different time, but it didn't really happen. That's all I have.
Great. So, with that, on the next agenda item is to approve the meeting minutes from May, which was May 29th. I think everybody's received those, both here and via email. Has everybody had a chance to kind of review those? Anything that they like changed or edited? If not, I would welcome a motion to accept.
Move to accept the minutes?
And a second. No discussion. Well, that was,
The splash pad,
okay.
where were they thinking of that, and when was that for? The citizens' comment up at the top.
Yep. So it's just a lady that called in. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I have it written down. They had just put one up in Presque Isle, and basically it's a concrete slab that has different like jets and water features in it. It's kind of a mini outdoor
Kids
water
could
park.
run through it.
Yeah, it's something you don't really need a lifeguard for, and
Yep.
she called and we talked about it, and I was like, that's kind of a neat idea. I don't know how much money it would cost, but it's something different than a pool, or
Right.
seems like a lot less maintenance. And then literally the next day in the mail, I got just a piece of junk mail, but it was about an advertisement for splash pads. So it was kind of jolted me like, I guess these are real things. I maybe should look into it. So
Yeah.
we just kind of talked about that a little bit. I haven't had a chance to
So
look
it
into
has
it
to be
anymore.
on a concrete slab?
Yeah, that's kind of how they do it. Because they got to put they at least have to be, depends how much you do. Some of them are just shallow bases of water with jets shooting up. Some of them have like bigger water features that you can put in and really
Right.
a lot of different options for it.
Right, I think they put them in concrete because of the piping and it's run,
Sure,
the
I
drainage
think
and
so,
the,
yeah.
all that stuff beforehand, and then
Yep.
when it's finalized, they
Yeah.
concrete it in, and there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was just kind of a broad statement, right?
Yeah,
as far
pretty
as
much. She just kinda
it would
said
be
she
it would be
thought
a
it-
great addition, and where could we put it if so, and
Right.
what would it cost, or what steps it would take to make that a reality.
Yeah.
Next to the rec center.
Yeah. So,
Opposite the pickleball.
yep. Any other comments on the notes before we vote? All right, well, that will take a vote, all to accept the minutes from May 29th, 2019. All in favor? That's unanimous. All right. So the next item is old business, and you quickly touched about the survey, and that's the first item on this, is the survey update. So Marcus, I'll turn it over to you.
So we got 387 back. I didn't do the math, but we sent out 2,480, so it's definitely over 10%.
That's
Probably
about-
closer to 15,
Yeah, close to 15.
Yeah.
which is great. So overall positive. There's different ways to interpret it, obviously, but I thought it came out pretty well. I broke down we had 18 questions. The first one was just, are you a resident? I didn't put that on here, but we did have like three or four non-residents that, I don't know if it was like they just lived here in the summer, and one was a couple were businesses. So they sent them in, but they made it clear they weren't residents, so we kind of take that information as needed. So question number 2, I meant to bring one of the surveys in. Does anybody have one with them? I think this one questions 2 was pretty easy. It's just the ages, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see here, it's kind of blurry, but so like, I put in the books, we had 18 to 25. And then if they checked multiple boxes, I would just put the whole broad range. So one of these like 18 to 65 plus. There's not someone in there in every age group, but
I believe that's the latest.
yep, it'll do.
Got it?
So we had eight surveys come back with people as young as 18.
That was?
37 come back in the 26 to 35 range, 64 in the 36 to 49, 120, 50 to 64, and 153, 65 plus. And we had 5 that didn't answer that question. So definitely the biggest majority from the 65 plus, and then the 50 to 64 wasn't far behind. So
How does that stack with the residents' ages here in town?
I haven't got that far. I'm not sure. It's probably not far off. I know
I would think that's
we're the
probably
oldest
pretty
town and
close.
the oldest county in Maine.
Yeah, we are the oldest county in Maine.
So I'm sure it's pretty proportional, but at first, as they were coming in, it was like, it seemed like everyone was 65 plus, so it's kind of surprising, but,
Yeah.
but I guess not. Question 3, children in the house. So out of the 387, we had 141 return it that did have children in the house, and that could be anywhere from 1 to 18 plus. And then 241 without children, and then another 5 that didn't put in. Question 4 was just the different activities. And circle any activities your household is interested or currently participating in. We had 21 that didn't put down anything, so they don't, according to the question, they don't currently do any of these or want to do any of these, and then 366 that at least do something or want something. So that was positive. Question 5, what Waldeboro rec programs have you participated in? It's really blurry. 75 of the surveys that came back are people that have used Waldeboro rec in the last year. 312 have not. So at first that seemed like kind of a negative to me, but at least we're reaching out beyond our normal means, I guess, for this survey, which is good, getting a broader audience. Question 6, 232 people that don't do any other rec, and then 155 that do some other type of recreation, whether that's CLCY or they're listed on this over here. Can't, like I said, it's kind of blurry. But they ranges from anything to basketball, different camps, co-ed softball, whatever they do, they just kind of listed.
Was there anything that really stood out when you were reviewing? Anything in particular?
That question?
Yeah, for that question.
No, most of them were. They kind of used. It was a lot of CLC and Penn Bay Y, and then a lot of MRC were the most consistent ones.
Okay.
And then there were a lot of people that wrote down stuff that wasn't necessarily organized rec. It was like they like to hike, so they just do that on their own. It was a lot
Okay.
of self-guided recreation in that category. So question 7 is kind of the biggest one I looked at the most. And it just says, how important are the following to you and your family? Waldeboro needs a recreation center. Strongly agree, agree, disagree, strongly disagree. So we had 193 strongly agree, 107 agree, 21 disagree, 47 strongly disagree, and 18 not answered. So that I wrote the percentages next to it. So we had 50% of the return say that they strongly agree that we need one, and then another 27.7% that said they agree. So if you look at those together, that's 77.7% that agree or strongly agree that we need a recreation center in Waldeboro. That leaves 17.6% that disagree or strongly disagree, and 4.7% that didn't answer. Question 8, health, wellness, and quality recreation are important to your enjoyment of Waldeboro. 203 strongly agree, 117 agree, 14 disagree, 32 strongly disagree, and 21 didn't answer.
So it ran parallel with the question before.
Yeah, pretty close.
Mhm.
I did notice there were a lot of people that, or a few that, when they, do we need a recreation center? And they put strongly disagree, but when they asked about the health and the wellness and and recreation being important to them, it was, they just didn't feel that we needed a center. But not all of them were like that. Question 9, programs for all ages are important. 246 strongly agree, 88 agree, 9 disagree, 33 strongly disagree, and 11 not answered. That was probably our most positive answer, at least for the strongly agree portion. And then 10 is having on-site childcare while using the recreation center important. We had a lot of people not answer this one just because it didn't apply to them. With a lot of the like I said, most of the returns that we got back were people of 65 plus with no
Right.
children in their house, so
Yeah.
Right.
they just left that one blank or
Right.
put it didn't matter. So we had 119 strongly agree, 124 agree, 53 disagree, 51 strongly disagree, and 40 not answer.
Hmm.
Flip over to the back, question 11, just gonna kind of skim coat this one. There's a lot of information on this question. It has like 10 parts to it, but basically, so the first one was a gymnasium. Right around 250 people thought that was a priority or high priority. Whereas the next question, multi-purpose rooms, only had 170 to 80 say the same. Can you guys see that
Well,
a
you're
little bit?
combining them together, right?
Yeah.
The
so-
top two, yeah.
So yeah, the top two, just
Mhm.
kind of agree, it's basically an agree or not agree that that's important. So yeah, there were some that stuck out more than others. I didn't get a chance to go in and look at the percentages, ran out of time, but all the information is there. But yeah, gymnasium stuck out. Swimming pool was really hot and cold. It had one of our, that's D, it was one of our most liked, or highly,
Right. High priority
high
to,
priority, yeah.
with,
But it was also our highest strongly disagree.
Yeah.
It's really a hot and cold topic. I mean, it would be one of the most expensive things in a rec center as far as building and maintenance and staffing. So definitely something to look into there.
and then the indoor track was G, I think, which
Yeah,
was
indoor track.
pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah. Even on a lot of the comments were people just looking for a place to walk in the wintertime.
Mm.
Makes sense. It's cold up there.
Yeah, with our climate.
Yep. And then, yeah. On-site, outdoor multi-use recreation, had a lot in the middle. I don't know, some people had little comments written under it that said we already have these. I don't know about when we were writing this question, my thoughts were building it next, like, this question would mean whether or not we built it next to the fields we have, not necessarily build new ones.
Mhm.
Could be either way, I guess.
How about like the kitchen area for events and
Yeah,
programs, concessions? I can't quite
yeah, so.
see it from here.
Yep, so 57 high priority, 132 priority, 95 low priority, and 47 not needed, 56 unanswered. It was one of the lower ones. That and the multi-use rooms. I was pretty surprised by it. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, there's a lot of
No, I
regular priority in there.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of low priority compared to most. So, no. Interesting. So, question 12, how much would you be willing to pay?
Who are those
Snuck
kids?
in there.
Who are those kids?
So the question 12 was on the family membership. got all the numbers over here, but basically it came down to about 38% didn't want to pay anything or left it blank. 32% were basically willing to pay up to $175, and I just kind of lumped those together. It was basically the people that put 50 was okay, all the way up to 175. I kind of put them together, and then over 200 we had 113, which was 29%. It just kind of made the chart easier to look at. I had a lot of people. Even though we only had the few answers in here, people were like writing stuff in between. So trying to put it into a pie chart had a lot of like one piece slivers that just made it harder to read.
So, all right, go over that again.
So
From an economic standpoint, you said 50 to 175, you kind of
yeah, so
made that an aggregate,
yeah,
and then,
there were even a few. So there was one person that put 25. I can read down through it. So we had 68 people put they didn't want to pay anything.
yeah,
One person said $25 a year. 35 people said $50 a year. 2 people said 75. 100 people said, or 55 people said 100. 2 people said 125. 29 people said 150. And 2 people said 175. So I kind of lumped those together.
Mhm.
We can break it up more. We can break it up as far as we want to. I have it broken out up here more. It was just harder to do the percentages that way.
And you
It
said-
didn't give you clear data.
of that 0 to 175, what was that total number?
32.6%.
Okay,
And
and
then
then you jumped to,
200 or over was 29%. So it was actually pretty well broken up. There were a few more people that didn't want to pay anything. Then went 38, 32, 29. So the higher the price went, the less people wanted to pay. There were a lot of people that the 38% is people that put 0, and it's also people that left it blank. So we had 68 people that put they didn't want to pay anything, and then 80 people that left it blank. And at least with the family membership, like not all of the people that returned them have families, so they put NA or not applicable or just left it
Sure.
blank. So it wasn't that they didn't want to pay anything, they just didn't put anything there. So I kind of lumped them together, but maybe that would be something we should separate more. Question 13 was the buddy or couple membership.
Mhm.
Same thing, I lumped them together, but the 0 or unanswered was 42%. And then this one nobody put 175, so I only went up to 150. It was 37%. And then over 200 was 21%. Again, a lot of people didn't put this one down. They were either single or they did the family one. It really depended. Some people wrote, it's just me and my husband, but he won't use it, so they put the single one down. And we had 90 unanswered on that one. Individual membership, 35% was 0 or unanswered. And that was 67, 0, 68 unanswered. So you pretty much split that in half. 17% 0 and 17% unanswered. 53% up to 175. So we had 3 people that said less than 50, 99 people that said 50, 3 people that said 75, 70 people that said 100, 30 people that said 150, and 1 person that said 175. And then we only had 12% that said 200 or more. And then the tax question came out, so we had 173 people that was less than or equal to 100, so that was 35%. 75 people that were over 100, which was 19.4%. 66 people that were unsure, which was 17%, and 108 people that said 0, which was 27.9%. Basically, looking at that, it was 55% of the people who were willing to pay something, and 45% were willing to pay nothing or they were unsure.
kind of split.
Yep. The way we wrote this survey, I didn't really realize it at the time, but the front kind of, talks about the survey, or talks about the recreation center, like what do you like to do? How much have you done? Does Waldeboro need this? And then on the top and the back, it says, what would you want in it? And I saw a lot of them that were all positive until they get to the dollar one, and it was just like back down to nothing. They wanted this, they wanted the pool, they wanted everything. How much are you willing to pay a year? 0 or 50.
Well, that's really the
Yeah.
common denominator, isn't
Right.
it?
And so I didn't read through these, but so 16. What would you expect to receive for your membership? Please be specific. I don't know if you can. Again, it's off the screen. A ton of them just said full use of the facility, and then it was pretty split. Some people would write programs included, no extra fees, and then some people said, willing to pay for classes and stuff like that. That was basically the, full use of facility, a clean facility, was the most common questions on answers that we got for 16. 17, are there any program amenities or recreation opportunities you'd like to see? A lot of people put some good information in there. There were a few that said something about a dog park. A lot of them that talked about walking trails and stuff like that. Even if this survey goes nowhere, I got some good information out of that to kind of know what people want.
We're
around here.
interested, yeah.
And then additional comments were everything from no, don't raise my taxes, to yes, this is a great idea, please keep moving with this, and everything in between.
Oh, that's some good information.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I think with some of your program down in Brunswick,
Yep.
and I think CLC, I mean, they all, if there are special programs in addition to the regular fees, they do charge fees,
Correct.
so, I mean, that's not unheard of. But, so it's really kind of 50-50 on whether or not people would be willing to
Yeah.
spend any money.
Yeah, I could go through and read the comments, but yeah, it was pretty close.
So I think probably the next step here, as you're still kind of formulating it, would be maybe instead of meeting in July,
Mm-hmm.
doing just a workshop like we kind of did in the past, where we could sit down and try to, or maybe you take a shot at analyzing them and kind of coming up with a document, so we could present that to the select board in August or September.
Yep. See
Because
what
I
it
think
was.
obviously that will be the kind of the key.
Yeah.
Our task of taking the survey, seeing what the needs are, and trying to draw some reference points and how possibly this could work or not. But that would be my recommendation. I don't
Yep.
know if anybody has any other thoughts or comments on
Well,
that.
it certainly seems positive that they want a facility.
Yeah.
Not
Mm.
just
Right.
outdoor, more fields or things like that. So, and it seems like it was basically answered mostly by the older population. And that seems to be where the general consensus was in most of those answers.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the demographics, it was a good question you brought up. How does that really correlate to the population of Waldeboro? That'd be something to look at. And then, obviously, with those that responded yes and no to certain questions, that would probably lead to some of the answers for the other questions. Or it'd be interesting to find out, like, they strongly disagreed that they wanted it, but answered maybe positive to some other questions. And
Right.
I did
vice
have,
versa. I mean, you're gonna have a general core from certain people.
Yep.
And then also the amenities question of, how they viewed, strongly agreed it needed this, or a walking track or running, like, so you could then kind of start diagramming, what a facility would have based on the needs, and then how could you operate it based on the budgets and all that, there's a variety of different things, but.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that would be what the select board would entertain some ideas too, but.
Well, at least we didn't get no,
No,
which is good.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
no, I mean,
There's definitely a lot of food for thought here.
the bottom line, and it always has been a discussion for this or any other project that any town, anywhere does is, you know, yeah, I would love to have it, but how can we afford it, you know, and then what needs to happen is try to figure out a way of what impacts and how that would lead to get to that point of actually building a building and operating a building
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find that middle ground of impact and sustainability based on membership and such. You know, it's one thing to build it, it's the other thing to annually maintain it and operate it, and I think that's kind of a key to the selling point of a project like this,
Oh, absolutely.
or any project of, you know. So, I mean, maybe we can talk about that later, or we can
Yep.
kind of agree to, you know, maybe meet and do like an hour workshop and kind of dissect it, or
Yeah.
that would be my suggestion. So we'll move on to the next, or is anybody still like to comment on the survey? Okay, so movie night discussion. I know from my part, it was kind of a big idea that I would like to try to pursue, but I have not been able to put much time into it, to be honest with you. Besides the initial, estimates that I got from the group that runs it, at our location, which seems extremely high. Whether that was just because they didn't want to travel the additional distance, or if that was actually, because they basically stated, oh, that distance, they may have to spend the night, and they threw
Right.
a bigger number at it, so. I know last meeting we talked about maybe some other options, and I know Marcus, you said you looked into a little bit of the fees, or,
Yeah, so I looked into it just a little bit. I can't remember the name of the website. I had it written on my last paper, but it has the licensing or whatever, the copy for the copyright, and you can go on and look at any movie. But before they'd give you a price, you had to like select your date and all that stuff. So I didn't get a quote or anything on that because we didn't have a date picked out or anything like that. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if it's something we want to move forward to. I don't think it would be. I don't think it's gonna be too bad to pull together. We pick a date. I can get us a movie. I don't think it'll be too expensive, but we can see. At least if we have a date and they throw a big number at me, we can figure that out later. But as far as the rest of it, would just be a stereo system, some type of projector, and something to project it on, and then just getting the word out. And I didn't know if you want to
Where
do.
would you do it?
we talked about possibly doing it where we watched the fire, where Waldeboro Day happened,
Mhm.
using that slope of hill, and kind of the stage, or, it was one of the possibilities.
Yep.
One of the
Thing
ball
it
fields is a possibility.
Thing of it is that it's so light out now, it'll have to be very 9:00.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless we could utilize maybe the VFW, see about renting that, or could we do like one of the school gymnasiums?
Yeah, I think we could.
Or the auditorium would be all
Oh,
set
there.
up.
What about, where do they stand with the theater?
I don't know.
Not yet. The theater,
Yeah,
2020, fall of 2020. They're finishing up the mold in there. The carpet's been ripped out, and it's coming along really well.
Nice.
And they just raised $12,000 and got a matching grant, and so they're well on the way. They're interviewing executive directors for it. They had 40 applications.
nice.
Yeah,
Wow, that's great.
from all over.
Yeah.
I mean, not just 5 from Maine. It's
Yeah.
a big, yeah,
Good.
yeah. It's gonna happen.
So maybe that could be something in the future, but
And-
maybe in the interim,
Yeah.
could we do like Miller School? Could we do,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that might be
you know?
even easier.
And now we
like a
don't have to
community
worry
night.
about,
Yeah.
because Miller, do they have a big screen there?
They have the wall on the
What-
stage.
On the stage, but is there a,
I don't think
is
there's no screen. I can't remember. I think they painted it white.
oh, all right.
I
Okay.
believe.
I don't know, I haven't been in there in so
Yeah.
long.
I
honest
think they
with
did it for
Yeah.
that reason.
I mean, and that would obviously, if you did it indoors, you wouldn't have to be in
Well,
such
the
a
cons-
hurry to, like, if
and
to try to get it
concern-
done in good weather.
And
Right.
concerned about the weather, concerned about, as Karen mentioned, you know, now it stays late till
Yep.
pretty late. And if you have young kids,
Right.
you know, that's gonna
Yeah.
be a consideration.
Yeah.
Yep.
They raised $12,000 at the Memorial Day, which was that fundraiser where they had the Adam Ezra group
Yes,
and
over at
Old
Lincoln.
Alewives
Yeah.
had the beer and stuff,
yeah,
and a $10,000 grant from Stephen and Tabitha King Foundation.
yeah,
Reopening in fall of 2000. And then they have the Topsail Farms film that is June 29th. Films at the farm with pizza, local brew, family classics. The movie starts at 8 p.m.
okay.
It's not too bad.
Yep, so they're doing.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of response they get to that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, they have a
and-
niche, so they're gonna get a response.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean, they have a niche audience.
right, well, we're gonna still be going after that same niche. Cause you said
I
family,
don't-
family classic
Yeah,
movies.
yeah,
So, I
right.
mean, you wanna do something that's gonna play to the
Right.
people that we wanna bring into the fold. I'm just curious, you know, they'll probably do well, I would assume.
yeah.
Of course, we wouldn't be able to serve beer.
And you said that was July 29th?
June 29th.
June 29th.
Oh, wow.
This,
June 29th.
actually, it's the Saturday, right?
Yeah, today's 26.
Yeah, be the Saturday.
Let's see.
Guess I need to stay more informed.
Okay,
Saturday, June 29th.
yeah,
Films at the farm.
cool.
Starts at 6:30, movie at 8.
And proceeds benefit the Waldorf Theater? Waldorf
Oh,
Theater?
yeah.
Nice.
Good,
All right.
okay.
So I guess we can continue to look
Only
at,
40 cars can go.
what's that?
40 cars.
40 cars?
Entry is donation-based per car with the number of cars limited to 40.
Okay.
Oh, so it's like a drive-in.
I guess so.
Well,
So it's a car.
it's probably because
based-
of limited parking,
Oh, okay.
just like the casino down in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
say I can, I'll be able to walk right over.
They only have 3,000
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we can keep moving forward with that.
All right.
And
That's
maybe,
all right,
maybe I'll
maybe-
just pick a date out in the future and,
Do you think we could do something at the school?
yeah, the school, I can get in the school pretty much anytime I want as long as it's available. School stuff comes first and then after that, all I have to do is fill out a form and they let me have it for everything I need.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
we could
great.
Come up with a budget and see what it could cost us,
Yeah,
you know, to get it set.
yeah.
Well, the auditorium has a big screen, doesn't it?
Well, that's what we're,
What auditorium?
you're talking about
The high
middle
school?
school?
Well.
Oh, you're talking
middle
about the
or
high school?
Yeah. I mean, what's the
Yeah,
difference? You're
we
in your car
could.
going there.
That's a possibility.
Be comfortable seats.
Yeah, very nice.
I don't know. First thought is, I don't know if we were gonna do any type of, the original thought was maybe outside and having like some type of food, or we not? What did we think?
Well, that's what we wanted, but I think after Waldeboro Day with the mosquitoes and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know how anxious you wanted. And then-
Well, and you wanna do it earlier so that if
Right.
it's a family thing,
No, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
there's, even if it was like a Miller Gym, you could do some type of food. I don't think they allow, if you did food at the high school, they would keep you out in the concessions area.
Right.
I don't think
Yeah.
you can go in.
Right,
Yeah, there may be some more restrictions or less seating, or
Right.
Yeah.
it would make it a different feel. It'd be more like a movie,
Right.
going to the movies,
Be like, yeah, going to the movies.
which isn't wrong, but it would just be a different feel to the event, I would
Mhm.
think.
Right.
But-
so, we got two potential locations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to look into.
Yeah,
I know you touched base. I don't know, the Waldeboro Day recap.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of talked to that already, but if you want to touch base or
Yep, no, it's pretty much the same.
Yep.
I think it went pretty well.
That you had 10 to 20 people participate.
Yep.
Maybe next year we can coordinate that event and any other events that we try to do around maybe some of the other events, like Little League, and,
Yeah,
you know, we put that out there, and then we found
Yeah.
out the awards was at 6 o'clock.
right.
You know, but, you know, or we try to tie it into a different time and maybe work with them ahead of time to devise a full schedule of all the events that are directly Waldeboro related, and then other that are affiliated, kinda.
Yep.
Summer rec update, I know you pretty much touched base on that,
Yep.
starting July 8th, going through August 9th, so if anybody's listening or watching this and
Yep.
has kids, and what grades was that again?
So it's going into first through going into seventh. So it's basically all the kids that were in elementary school this past year.
Yep, yep,
Um,
so,
And so I did. I can't remember. I guess it's so since the last meeting. I think I've had my. We had our meeting at Healthy Lincoln County for the summer meals program that we offer with.
yep,
Healthy Lincoln County puts it on. It's at Miller Schools, one of the kitchens, so our kids get to eat breakfast and lunch for free. It's a great program. But when I was there, I met the lady who runs the ACE program here in Waldeboro during the school year, and we were talking. And she said that in the summer they ship all the kids over to Warren, and it's an all day program. They go from 7:30 to 5:30 or something like that, and they're full and have 26 kids on their waiting list.
Oh, wow.
And they're thinking about starting a second location at the building in front of Miller School where I run my camp. And so talking to her, I was, since I've been hired, our program runs from 9 to 1. It's the way it's always gone. I think it was running that way even before Kyle was a rec director here. I think Tom McLean ran it even before we had a rec department. And that's just how it always has been. But I've always wondered if going to more of a full day would be a better option.
Definitely.
It's gonna take it, right now, I upped the price, it used to be $25 a week. Now it's $40 a week, and that was just because the minimum wage went up and I had to do kind of something to cut costs. I lose money on that program that I make up for
That's
with my.
still a deal.
Yeah,
It's a steal.
yeah, and I make up for it with
Oh,
my
yeah.
other programs, but it's kind of in between. So, like hearing that there was a need, 26 kids on a waiting list looking for some type of camp. I've talked to Camp Knickerbocker over at their CLCY, and they ship them down to Booth Bay, but they're full from what I understand, and they were offering scholarships and they're out. I had a mom come to me after that and said they were full. So just knowing that there's a need takes a little bit. I was, where I lose so much money on a half-day camp, I was worried if I went to a full-day camp and it didn't work out, that I'd lose even more money and not be able to cover it with my other programs. But it sounds like that might not be an issue, but it's a lot bigger undertaking. I'd have to hire a lot more staff, stagger schedules, longer field trips. There's a lot more cost to it, sending the kids to
What is
Funtown
the
instead
cost of the one in Warren?
I think she said it was $130 a week,
Yeah.
so it's $90 more than what we're charging, but it's an all-day thing. And I think they do 2 or 3 field trips a
Childcare.
week.
Would easily be that.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
And there'd
yes.
be no activities.
yeah,
It does seem high, but it's not in reality, once you compare it to other options, we have the same thing.
right.
I mean, I think there's definitely a need for that, obviously based on what that conversation you've had and just knowing for people that do work, camp setting would be great, but if it's 9 to 1, it's not gonna work, and,
Yeah,
and we have that, we do the full day and we have an extended day, in Brunswick and a lot of different communities, just because for a working person, they need to
Right.
possibly drop off a little early, pick up
Yep.
a little late.
Right.
And even we find that with our sports programs, when we do it a full day program, it works out. The numbers are greater than when we do clinics,
Yeah.
because only certain population can get them there on time and then be
Yeah.
able to pick them up. But,
right.
Obviously a smaller community,
Yeah.
carpooling's a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, I would be more than willing to help you with a budget on that if that was something that you wanted to pursue,
Yeah.
or even a survey of, that goes out at the beginning of the school year. You know,
Yeah,
that's
that-
just directly towards that target audience, or,
Right.
or you frame it down that it's only 50 kids. You know, you may get to a point, that way you could make a more defined budget,
Yeah.
and a more
you-
manageable number.
Yeah,
and
there's
then-
definitely going to be a limit on it. I think our camp was limited at 50 back when we had 5 on staff. Now we're down to 4 on staff, so we're limited to 40 by the state. But we haven't had those numbers, which is why I went lower with the staff. But I think
So are you thinking about doing something,
not this year. Definitely not this year. We've already advertised, already taken registrations, already staffed for this year. There's nothing I can do this year, but
Yeah.
knowing that the need is out there, it gives me a year to plan and maybe go for it next year and see how it goes.
Yeah,
So,
talk it up early.
so
And get staff commitment, because
Yeah, I'll
everybody's
talk to-
screaming for help.
yeah, I'll talk to my staff and see if that's anything they'd be interested in. I've already talked to a few of the parents that have signed up for the 9 to 1 and said, "You've been coming to 9 to 1. Would you still come if it was all day?" And I got a yes, they would.
Oh,
So,
with an adjustment in the budget, obviously?
Yeah.
yeah. So
I think
actually,
that'd be great.
so that's the summer rec. I don't budget for summer rec at all. It's not a budgeted item. It comes all the registration money I take over the year is what pays for that, and so that's what it's my own little enterprise account. And registrations I come in go to that, and then I pay for little things out of that, and I pay for summer rec. So the money I make off co-ed softball, off tumbling, off soccer, all that stuff makes up for how much I lose on summer rec. But
But if you expand the program.
if I
and
can
you
fill
raise
up, if I
the-
can fill up a 40 kid camp at $130 a kid,
Or
I'm gonna,
$100 or whatever.
or
to make it-
whatever, I'm gonna, it'll make money,
Yeah.
which isn't the point, but it'll
Well, you certainly will
allow
why
us,
not?
allow us to do a lot
Hopefully
more.
break
There's nothing
even.
wrong with making a little money,
No,
so
but-
that you can do an extra prize or something, and
right,
Yeah.
so would it wash
So that-
out?
Now, you said the state rate?
10 to 1, 10 to 1 staff to kid
Okay,
ratio.
so if you
So-
get more staff, then you can,
Get more kids.
Okay.
I think definitely the first year 40 would probably be my limit, and I think 40 kids in Miller Gym is going to be a lot. It seems like a lot now when we have 20 to 25.
Right.
So I would cap it at 40 probably to start. And
Yeah. But
see.
you could also have some outdoor use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or
Stagger.
a couple classrooms possibly, you know, so you
Yeah.
can stage different, you know, but yeah. Obviously, I think for the first year or so, you'd want to try to establish a finite number
Right.
and then go from there. And then if you have a greater demand, then make that call to say, yeah, I can hire one additional staff and make this work.
Right.
Or you find that, you know, you set a price point and then you still offer some sort of scholarship if
Yeah.
needed for those that do need
Excuse
it
me.
as well. So
Right. And
and
that's
then
what.
you just kind of factor that in, and then there's other ways to possibly raise the revenue as far as sponsorship for shirts or a certain trip or something like that. I mean,
Right.
it's obviously more work, but
And that's what I did kind of talk to Kyle, the last director, about it a little bit, and he said his biggest issue when he thought about it over the years was basically that I don't know if it's a policy or not, but the department pretty much does no questions asked scholarships on if they're as needed, and giving away a $25 or $40 a week camp is a lot easier to do than $140 or $30 or whatever $100 a week camp.
sure.
What's going to make up for that money if you give away too many?
Yeah.
well, either that, you can do like a 50% type
Yeah,
scenario.
I would first thought.
If you're at like, say, $100.
Yeah, first thought for me was just having more of an application process for it instead of
Be a
the
little bit more specific.
no questions asked.
Yeah, the town probably already has stuff like that you could require as far as people that look for heating assistance.
Yeah,
You can also use the model of if your student or that student is enrolled in free or reduced lunch, they pay so much, and then you
Right.
know if that rate needs to be reduced, then
Yep.
you kind of go to that next step. So
Yep.
I mean, there are some different
There should
there's
be
some
some
different methods out there.
accountability.
yeah, and
To-
right now
to do
there's
that,
really
yeah.
not. basically every person that asks about the scholarships, I tell them, you know, we have scholarships available. We ask that you pay what you can, because I basically give them the spiel that I lose money on the program, but if they tell me they can't pay, their kid can still come.
Well, the community foundation, we used to do some of those
Yeah,
scholarships.
and every once in a while, the Lions Club has called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna donate you some money to pay for scholarships." So I make some of it back for that. Definitely not all of it, but
Sure.
still,
Right.
it could be a
You know,
lot more.
Why wouldn't you go to 50 if you have a 5-to-1 ratio for the state? Did I misunderstand that?
No, so it's 10-to-1 ratio for a state. I have 4 on staff now, so my limit's 40.
Right.
I could always hire more staff and have more kids. My issue is the space at Miller Gym isn't huge. 50 kids in a gym is a lot.
But as
Yeah.
he said, you're not gonna have all 50 in the gym at one time.
Well, sure, but I mean, I think without like getting into all the details, I mean, you
Yeah.
could. There's some other ways of purchasing tents, using outdoors, but obviously on a rain day, they would be forced inside or into classrooms.
Right.
And that's obviously a consideration,
Yeah. As of
without,
right now-
without another large space, like some schools are equipped with a gymnasium and a cafeteria, like
Yeah.
Miller School has just the one, but
We don't.
Do
As
you
of right
have to
now, we
use
don't.
Miller?
Yeah, we use Miller. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you can't use the high school?
No, they have their summer camps for the
Okay,
sports
yeah.
teams and stuff. So
That's right.
yeah, we use Miller. It's fine, and like I said, probably up to like 40 kids would probably be cramped. As of right now, like our camp, we're 20, 25 kids is a big day for us. It feels full even then, but we do everything together. We don't really separate. It's usually almost always group activities or something.
yeah.
And then we have the field trips.
Yeah.
And that's the other, like, you wouldn't want to go above 50 because you can't fit them on a school bus.
Yeah.
Right. You either want to get to 50 or you want to get to 100. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that I think it's definitely worth looking into, and I think you'd find positive, and obviously it would be if you knew that there was this many kids on a wait list,
Yeah.
or you worked in conjunction with ACE or some,
Right.
to be able to transfer those kids from there directly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure for some parents that work in one location, like they say they work in Damascotta, to drive to Warren
Right.
before work, would be a much benefit to have it right here in town.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's something I'm going to try to do this summer. Talk to my staff, see if it's anything they're interested in, talk to the parents I have, see if it's anything they're interested in, and then try to get over to ACE maybe a day or two and kind of
Sure.
see how they run things. And
Yeah, I think you'd find that positive, and then, the other thing that which could be easy or beneficial is working with some of the sports coaches you already already have camps or clinics.
Yep.
And trying to maybe even coordinate a bus route with them, so a kid like, I'm using my daughter for example, that's at basketball, could go from there to camp.
Yep.
Or
Mhm.
vice versa, or maybe offer tennis lessons, or something like that, where
Yep.
where you kind of utilize some of that staff to kind of work with them, or that's an additional fee for stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Moving on to new business. And I know obviously we just got into summer a couple days ago, but our fall preview.
Yep.
Or you want to touch base with that?
Yeah, so it's just probably middle of August we'll start getting early August we'll start getting stuff out for soccer, and then middle to end of August I'll be gearing up. We usually run a fall tumbling class through Matt Hanley. That fall tumbling class from last year turned into 2 winter sessions and a spring session, so I don't know how much, if the girls or the athletes are getting sick of him yet or not, but it's been good to kind of keep that going. They tend to like it, so
Yeah, great.
works out for both of us. And fall senior trip, we usually try to do a fall foliage trip. I'm thinking about sending them back to Bar Harbor. They tend to go there every 4 or 5 years, but though that's one of the hardest things I've had to do since taken over here is find a place for them to go every year. You know, you can go north, you can go south or west, but you can't go east.
Yeah.
And so you go, you know, we try to go an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So north, that's Bar Harbor. South, that's Portland. And then west, they went to Rangeley a couple times.
So that was a longer trip.
A little bit longer.
North
Yeah.
Conway?
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I have done that with a group from Thomaston. That was nice.
Yep.
Happened to be a hurricane that morning, but
Yep.
once once we drove through, that was good. And then the other one we did once was really, and we did it earlier on, was went to Greenville,
Yep.
to Moosehead, and actually got on the steamboat ferry there.
Yeah. So I.
You know, they have a variety of different cruises, and that was kind of
Yep.
a fun tour.
Yep. No, they.
But you wouldn't
they've
want to
asked
do it
about
too
that.
late in the fall because it would get a little cold.
Cool.
Yep.
But if it was early September or
Yeah.
mid-September, that
I'll
might
have to
be
look into
something.
that
You
one.
would miss out on the foliage, but it was good. Or even if there
How
was,
about
North
even, like-
Conway says 2 hours.
How about
Yeah, 2
Naples
hours is
and
about
the
the limit.
Songo Queen?
yeah, we've done the Songo River Queen. That was kind of cool. And then there's a restaurant that's kind of on the way too that we stopped afterwards. Some sort of buffet. Like
Yeah.
people loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was. So I guess 2 years before I took over, they went to Bar Harbor. Seems like they go there every 5 years. I have one guy that tells me he doesn't want to go; he's sick of it. But last year, when they got off the bus, a few of them told me they'd like to go back to Bar Harbor. So that's kind of what I decided
Yeah.
on. But I can always change it.
No, those are.
And then so they went there, and then the year before I got there, they went to Rangeley, and there's like some waterfalls along the trip that they looked at, and that was good. The first year I took over, they had.
I don't want to interrupt, but I think you guys ought to vote and give them a raise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we already did.
Are you authorizing that vote?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Why not? The generator's still over there,
It is okay.
so just, so you.
I'll let Johnny know.
That's where it's
The
at.
generator, what?
That's where it's hanging
Generator
out.
from Waldeboro Days still.
Oh, you
It's still at the
Good,
park?
No,
Fire
it's over
department.
here
Oh,
by the-
okay.
It's safe there, but just so somebody knows it's there.
Thank you, chief.
Yeah, and then when I took over the first year, they wanted to go to. I always go down to the senior citizen group that meets at the VFW, and they kind of come up with a bunch of ideas, and we decide where to go. We went to Kennebunkport to the Bush compound, and then went to the mall for lunch, and then to Portland Head Lighthouse, and then back.
Hmm,
And
Okay.
That was a nice.
I didn't go on that trip. Talking with Kyle, he had never gone. He said because they always filled up. He wanted to save the seats for the other people, and we used a different bus company because the one we normally use was booked. And so I guess there's not much place to park, or you can't park there next to the Bush compound. So all they did was drive by it, and people were pretty upset about that. And then they got to the mall, and I told them, you know, the buffet that everybody likes there.
Yeah.
And he pulled up to the food court and parked there. And so some of them couldn't walk that far. They didn't like that.
Yeah.
So overall, I guess it was an alright trip. They loved the lighthouse. But after that, it was kind of, I got a few complaints.
Mhm.
So last year I went on the trip. They decided they wanted to stay a little bit closer but do a few more things. So we went to the Maritime Museum in Bath, and then went to that restaurant right there before BIW.
Taste of
Taste of Maine
Taste of Maine,
for lunch.
yeah.
They loved that. And then we
Sure.
went down to Pemaquid Lighthouse. And so we had a few less numbers, and I guess that people said because it was so close, they go there all the time. But we still had, I think, more than half a bus full, and they had a good time. But
Sure.
definitely probably try to go a little bit further away.
Have you ever included the Olson House in it?
No, I haven't.
It's an excellent tour.
Yeah. The issue that we found with
Christina's World,
the yeah
Okay.
you know.
with the
Yeah. Oh, right.
with
Yeah.
the Maritime Museum, it ended up being a lot of walking. A lot of them couldn't see everything that they wanted to because it was limited that way.
But I hear that's a really good,
It was a really neat museum. I
yeah,
enjoyed
that's
it.
what I heard. It's very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think that's the challenge with the senior trips is that you have seniors of all different mobility and
Yeah.
stamina and age, and, you know, trying to find that perfect medium is somewhat tough, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of the trips nowadays that I look at for Arvin and I possible,
Yeah.
they will say moderate, easy. They kind of
Right.
To let you know.
say 2 hours on your feet or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
it's, I think it's a good thing to kind of put
Yeah.
in there so you don't get people to say, oh, I didn't like that, I can't do that, you know, and then you have a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely take all the.
And you typically have a budget to do one trip in the
Yes.
fall, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a
there's no-
budgeted item. I can't remember if I put 1,300 back in there again. I've been right at it the last couple of years, so
Yes.
I
All
think
those
had to-
fees go up, but,
yeah, I had to raise it a little bit. I think from what Kyle had it at because we went over one year. But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll take any suggestions on places to go.
So, and the bus companies may have ideas too.
Yeah, I check out their websites and stuff, but we pretty much use the same. I always call around and get prices, but it always ends up Sear always ends up being the cheapest for the most part.
See ya.
Yeah.
What about our neighbors over at Country?
They don't have a charter bus.
Oh,
they have like a 24,
Yeah,
I think is the biggest.
What about Concord?
they don't have a bigger one than that?
I don't know
No,
about
I think-
Concord.
Probably just
Concord
because.
And they're probably
Yeah,
not
I'm
as
not sure.
comfortable.
We-
think-
I always call
think up to a
Sear,
certain level,
VIP,
you
and
don't need a
Northeast
special
Charter.
license.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
okay.
yeah, all right, items for upcoming agendas, again, I'd kinda go back to maybe using our next month's meeting, like a workshop where we can kinda sit down together and take a stab at trying to dissect those, or giving you some more direction on how to just dissect those so we can present them either in an August or September meeting.
so is that going to be,
So I do
Fourth.
know I may have on our normal date, I'm trying to look, is I am away the last week of July on vacation. That doesn't mean that you guys still couldn't meet, but I do know I have a
I
conflict.
mean, could we do it
Alright, I could do the 31st, but I am
about
away,
the 23rd?
I'm away the week of,
Oh, you're away that week.
I'm the week of the 20th through the 27th.
Well, how about moving it up to the 16th or 17th then?
That's, I cannot do the 17th myself. I could do the 6th, I couldn't do the 16th. See,
Or any
I got
time
too
that
many
week.
I got too many meetings.
Yeah.
I could do Thursday the 18th. I don't know if that works for you, or is,
Let me look
Well,
at
there's
that.
actually, there's 5 Wednesdays in July, right?
yeah.
Let me check out the meeting room schedule.
So the 31st I could do, the 17th and the 24th I can definitely not do. I can't do anything the week of the 20th.
What's wrong with the 31st?
I don't know.
You,
I have company.
you have company.
I mean,
That whole week
starting
probably?
the 24th through August 11th,
Okay.
so. I'll
Well,
make-
if it's just a workshop, I mean,
Yeah,
you can enjoy your company. We can kind of hammer out some, we're not gonna make it a final decision,
right.
you know?
I don't have, for some reason, I'm not getting the
Are you
calendar I
getting the
need.
calendar for the room?
I'm not getting the calendar for the room on my phone.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we leave this conversation or set a date through email?
Yep.
Maybe shoot for the 31st as a tentative date?
Yeah, that's fine, or I can do, like I said, the 18th or night, I don't wanna do a Friday really. I could do the 18th the week prior and that's it.
So
I have
eight-
meeting
so
on the 17th. on the
18th or
15th.
31st.
Yeah.
Okay.
July 18th or the 31st.
Right.
Oh, hold on. I cannot do that. I could only do, I can't do the 18th, that whole week is crazy.
Yeah, I got a
The
doc,
18th
I got
is
a
the
doctor's
third Thursday of the month, and that's when we
In
do our
Portland.
movies in the park, so.
Can you do any day that week?
I can only do Friday the 19th.
Oh, no, you didn't want to do that.
Could, but I don't really
No.
want to do a meeting on Friday, ideally in the summer.
No worries.
Well, let's shoot back for the 31st.
Okay. I'm
And,
sure
you know, I
have,
mean,
we'll have some place to work.
We're not gonna, yeah, I mean,
We
even
don't
if
take
we're
it-
We can
working
bring your
out there,
company.
even if we're just,
We can have some outside influence.
even if we're just crunching numbers.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, you know,
yeah.
it's a discussion, I mean, it's not like we're gonna take a final vote.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know.
it's just, I'm probably gonna try to put together, take the information and start putting it in some type of PowerPoint format, and then
Okay.
we can just revise it any way you guys want to.
Yeah,
No, I think that would be the best.
Yeah.
And that way we can start trying to draw lines in the sand of
Right.
how we want to do as far as
Right.
presentation points.
Right.
If you can get the graphs and all that type of stuff, even
Yeah.
in advance, so we can be more prepared, we won't be here that long.
Yeah.
Right.
alright,
I'll
mean-
try. We got a lot of, that's, I spent the last 2 days putting the surveys in the computer, cause I told you guys I'd have them done by tonight, but I've been working outside on the field so much that it's,
right.
Yeah.
You know,
and we got more
the
renovations
gals
coming
in the
up. So
office won't help.
they probably would, but I didn't ask. They're busy.
Well, you've done the hard part, so I think, you know,
Yeah.
drawing, putting in the graphs and figuring out your Excel stuff would be great, and then
Yeah.
we can kind of draw some bullet points and try to make some recommendations, or be
Well,
able
as
to,
we
at
all-
least to be able to answer questions.
As we all know, the more we add to a basic building,
Yeah,
the
Yep.
more it costs.
yeah,
You know, and is it something that could be a bond issue,
Right.
Yes,
you know?
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
You
and,
know, I mean, but you
I
gotta
think
have some kind
Colorado
of a
did it on a
number,
1%.
you know, some
Sure.
kind of a number
I
in
think-
mind.
yeah, I mean, I think at this point, we, you know, and not saying this is the path, would be, let's analyze the data, let's show the positive
Absolutely.
results or the negative results and how they fall, and what components they would like in it, and then share that with the town selectmen and try to get their blessing to move forward with the conceptual side of things, and then be able to draw the numbers, like, okay, you know.
I know. I told.
And then that would come to, how would we pay for this? Would it be a bond, would it
That's
not
the
be, or?
finance department has to
Right.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Anything new on the gray building?
No. No, I think
Has that fallen through, or?
it's just.
they had a meeting last night, but it was executive session, and I couldn't go.
So,
So I'm not waiting to hear more on that, but I have no updates at this point. So,
great.
but yeah, no, it'll.
All right, with that being said, is anything else, or I'd accept a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Motion.
Second,
Yep.
all in favor?
Second. A,
All right,
I,
Very good.
this is yours, right? I took it from you, gave it to him.
it's okay, you